All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive into a quiet revolution that is completely changing our future. See, the cost of getting to space, it's been dropping like a rock, and it's unlocking possibilities that honestly used to be pure science fiction.
So let's start with this number, $25,628. Back in the year 2000, that's what it cost, on average, to send a single kilogram, that's about the weight of a bag of sugar, into low Earth orbit. We're talking over 25 grand. At that price, space wasn't just expensive. It was basically a club for governments only.
Okay, now let's jump forward just 2 decades to 2020. That same kilogram, it costs less than $5,000 to launch. I mean, that is an absolutely mind-blowing drop. So the big question is, how on earth did getting to orbit get so cheap, so fast? You know, for the longest time, the price of a single rocket launch was this massive billion-dollar barrier. And this incredible cost didn't just limit who could go to space, it seriously limited what we could even imagine doing up there. And this chart really lays it all out for you. The price didn't just dip, it completely cratered, especially in that decade between 2010 and 2020. This wasn't some minor market adjustment. It was a total economic reset for the entire space industry.
Think about it. When every single launch costs a fortune, you're not going to take a lot of chances, right? It meant we launched fewer satellites, innovation moved at a snail's pace, and the whole idea of a real, thriving economy in space, well, it was pretty much just a dream. Something had to give.
And that big change came from a truly revolutionary idea. What if, and this was the big what if, you didn't have to just junk a multi-million-dollar rocket after using it just one time? This was the beginning of the reusability revolution.
And you know, calling reusable rockets a game changer is not an exaggeration. The idea is so simple, but so powerful. It's like deciding to stop using disposable paper cups and instead getting a coffee mug you can use every single day. The entire economic model just got turned on its head. So how does this magic actually work? Well, after launch, the main booster separates, flips around, and actually fires its engines again to slow its fall back to Earth. Then it steers itself for this pinpoint autonomous landing on a recovery ship waiting out in the ocean. From there, it gets a ride back to port to get ready to fly again. It's this incredible, perfectly choreographed dance of engineering. But here's the thing, the revolution wasn't just about the rockets. At the exact same time, the satellites being carried inside those rockets were going through their own radical transformation. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things, these huge, custom-built satellites where every single part was uniquely designed and ridiculously expensive. And on the right, that's the new way, using powerful, mass-produced computer chips that were originally designed for stuff right here on Earth, like the chips that powered our first home computers. The whole way of thinking just flipped. This whole philosophy has a name, COTS. It stands for Commercial Off-the-Shelf. Basically, instead of reinventing the wheel for every mission, satellite builders started using reliable parts that already existed. So what does this do? Well, it absolutely demolishes the cost and the time it takes to build and launch new tech. And the effect was, well, it was dramatic. Thanks to this COPS philosophy and just general miniaturization, the average satellite got so much lighter. It went from over 1,700 kilograms in 2000 down to just 220 kilograms by 2020. So you've got cheaper rockets and way lighter satellites. That's the perfect recipe, the perfect storm for cost to just plummet. So the bottom line is, this isn't just about saving a few bucks. Cheaper, faster access to space is unlocking a whole new economic frontier. It's creating entire industries that were nothing but science fiction just a generation ago. And this is just a taste of what's happening now. We're seeing these giant mega constellations of satellites aiming to bring internet to the whole globe, advanced fleets of satellites watching our planet's climate in real time, and even serious plans to start using resources from space. There's an entire support industry popping up, from specialized recovery ships to robotic drone systems. This is it. This is the new space economy happening right now. But, and there's always a but, all this incredible progress, well, it comes at a price. This boom in launches means we have a much bigger footprint, not just here on Earth, but in the really fragile layers of our upper atmosphere. Yeah, there's a hidden cost here. A lot of the common rocket fuels we use release chemicals directly into the stratosphere that are really bad for our protective ozone layer. Solid fuels, for example, they release chlorine. Kerosene rockets pump out black carbon, basically soot. To put it simply, more launches mean more pollution, right where it can do some serious damage. And it's not just the pollution in the atmosphere. Every single launch has the potential to create more space junk, old rocket parts, tiny flecks of paint, dead satellites. And all this junk up there is basically creating an orbital minefield, a huge collision risk that threatens the very space economy we're so excited to be building. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? We've managed to solve the massive economic challenge of getting to orbit. But the next great challenge, the one that's going to define this whole new era, is figuring out how to do all this sustainably. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.